Hi everyone. I hope all of you all are having a wonderful day wherever in the world you happen to be. I am going to probably make a mess because I have no earthly idea what I want to do today. Just wanted to paint. So today I'm going to do it on an 8-inch NARA round, the NARA Synthetic Art Paper. I really like the NARA brand. It doesn't stain like UFO does. I mean, there's certain inks that are going to stain things, certain colors, no matter what you use, but NARA's a surface that does not stain badly. They offer their paper in several different sizes, and they have 6-inch rounds and 8-inch rounds and different things. So it's a paper that I recommend, that I like to use. It's one of my three favorite brands that I like to use. The NARA, the Graphics Opaque White Craft Plastic, and the UFO by Legion is what I normally use, one of those. Colors, I just grabbed some random colors today. Not sure how this is gonna look. I'm just in one of those moods. These are all Ranger, the Tim Holtz Ranger inks. I've got Slate, Salmon, Wild Plum, Boysenberry, and Coral. So who knows how that's going to turn out. I'm also using the Jacquard alcohol ink, the brass color, the Piñata line, the brass metallic. That's what's in this little bottle right here. There's nothing mixed with this. This is just straight brass poured out of the big bottle into the little bottle, because that would just really make a mess on my paper. I've also, this is supposedly 100% alcohol. I ordered this off of Amazon. I do not know if they still have any in stock. It's just kind of a crapshoot these days with whether or not you can find alcohol. So I'm kind of wary of even posting links for it, because it seems like every time I post one, they end up sold out before people can actually find one. So hopefully, it's getting a little easier for you all to find alcohol. I get a lot of people ask me what this is. I've been told that this is a blunt or a stump that's used in watercolor painting, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what this is. It actually came out of an acrylic paint section at Hobby Lobby, and it may be something to do with acrylic painting. I really have no idea what it's called. I just use it when I need to kind of, prod the ink somewhere or little things like that. Sometimes I'll kind of dab things with the back end of it. So if you see me doing that, that's what I'm using. It doesn't matter what you use. You don't have to use this specific tool. People ask me about this a lot, and it doesn't matter. Anything that's got a small sharpish end on it. If you have a knitting needle that's got a, fairly slim, sharp end on it, then that would work just fine. Also have my little cotton swab laying here, just in case I need to wipe something out or anything. Alright, I really am coming into this with no plan today. I just don't know where my head's been lately, not on my painting, but I really did want to paint today and see what I could do. I'm trying to sort of look at my colors here and think about what I want to accomplish here for a minute, maybe. I don't know. I can't decide if I want to use all of those colors or not, so we'll see. It's an odd combination of colors, and sometimes it can get a little tricky if you're mixing, purples in with the oranges colors like coral. You can sometimes, depending on your shades, can come up with more of just icky brown sort of color. Not something that's very attractive. Oh, before I start, because I know somebody will ask me about this, even if I tell you right now. And I know 50 people will ask me if I don't. This is what I'm using to move the ink. This is a Revlon brand. Does not matter what brand you use. This is just what I got because it was the lowest wattage one that I could find. I went looking on Amazon for something that did not have good reviews for people who complained that it didn't blow strong enough to dry their hair. It is a hair dryer. It's a curling brush or styling brush or something, hair dryer. It just had one of those round brushes out here, which I just popped off and use it like that. You can see I sometimes get it too close to my ink. That's what the mess is all over the bottom of it. Which is another reminder for you all, keep it close, very close to your paper, just not close enough to do that. This does have a cool setting on it. It's got high heat, low heat, and cool. The cool setting is a high airflow, but that's one reason that I wanted a low wattage one so that the high airflow wasn't as high. Sorry, I broke my fingernail yesterday. I know that looks horrible. Sorry, I've got to cut them all off. It cut it right, or broke it right down into the skin. This one is 500 watts. Wherever you happen to be, because I know I have a lot of viewers in other countries who cannot get this in their country. There is a Tresemme brand that some people have gotten. There is a Vidal Sassoon that some people have gotten in other countries. I know in Europe, I think maybe Australia. Some of y'all have told me you found these there. But any brand is fine. You mostly want to find one with a cool setting and one that has a low wattage so that even if it blows on high, you're not getting a really strong airflow out of it. Alright, I am going to be right back in 1 second and then we'll get started. Okay, sorry, I had to pause there for a second. Had one of my granddaughters standing behind me waiting to ask me a question. Alright, I'm going to start with the Boysenberry. Dun, 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 dun. And I know several of you are probably going to say, why don't you get a Lazy Susan and use it? Well, I have one, but my workspace right now where I have to work, and it's mostly my chair. I desperately need a new chair because I'm just using like a plastic folding chair, and the Lazy Susan sits up too high. I just feel like I'm at the wrong height to use it. And plus, I don't know if I could use it because I'm too, pick it up, move it around. I'm not sure. I will give it a try one of these days. My husband bought me one last year for Christmas for this specific purpose. And, yeah, I think I tried it one time and it felt so awkward that I stopped and just moved it. But once I manage to get a new chair, like a computer desk chair or something that I can raise up and down, I'll give it another shot. Let's see. I really wanted to try something like maybe a different shape that I haven't done before, so we'll see. This may turn out complete crap, and I may be throwing the whole thing away, who knows. Alright. Do it. I'm sorry, I can't decide if I wanted to put any metallic in right now or if I wanted to wait until after I'd spread this, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in. Sorry about the dryer noise. These days this is just the only way that I have time to do videos. I just don't have time to do voiceovers right now, especially with school, with the girls, because I do homeschool, our 2 granddaughters that we're raising. Just a little too pressed for time to be able to do that. Okay. So, I'm sorry, I'm thinking colors again. And what I want to do with this as I go along. So let's see. teeny bit more there than I meant to. It's alright. It'll just make it stand out a little more. One thing, when you're using the metallic, I mean, it's beautiful in a painting, but you really want to be careful not to go overboard with it. I'm sorry if I'm blocking y'all's view here. If you get too much metallic in, it will sort of gum up. It just gets all thick and goopy and kind of gross. And really hard to move. And really hard to dry. And it just makes these thick, dark lines in your painting. Which I know some of you have actually mentioned to me before that you've had that problem. With kind of, you know, dark mess, blob in the middle of your painting. And it's either from too much ink, too much metallic, or a combination of both. That's pretty much the only thing that will cause that thick blob, thick lines in the middle of your painting. Should have made that. Sorry, I'll be trying not to talk to myself. Thinking out loud. Wishing I'd made these lines a little longer, because now I see something else I wish I kind of wanted to do. Alright, so you see I've got these little fingers here because I wasn't being real careful to keep my dryer low enough to the paper, and I was kind of doing it quickly, but I don't care about this right now because I'm going to be going back and making this part wispy. So I'm not even worried about that right now. I just leave it and go back and fix it later. Darn, darn, darn. Now that I've started, what I wish that I had done was plan to go all the way around the outside edge and then just pull it all in and make the sort of negative space in the middle instead of on the edges. But I only have 5 colors laid out, and that's not going to be enough to finish that off, because I didn't make my strips of color long enough. But that's alright. Might be able to fix it a little bit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Always, when you're using your metallic, make sure you shake it every time before you use it, because this stuff does settle and separate very quickly. Put a little more coral over here. It was about to drip. I didn't want it to drip as I moved it away. In case you were wondering if you wanted to try to replicate this, if it turns out decent, I started with Boysenberry, then Wild Plum, then Coral, and next I'm going to do the Salmon, and then I'll do Slate right there. In case you were wondering what order I was putting these down in, I hope you all can hear me okay too. I know it's kind of difficult for some of you, or all of you, when I have the dryer running. Excuse me. And you see, corals are really, really light color. So, you know, if you don't want it to be really super pastel, you do need to use a little more of it than you would some of your darker colors, probably. Just depends on how light and pastel you want it to be. Now see, I didn't want to end up with that much slate, but sorry, I'm like, you know, measuring down and trying to see which side of these, I wasn't measuring, but sort of eyeballing it, seeing if there was one side that, you know, I could come down a little farther with that color without it being too obvious there. You know, having one long line section. I'm going to put just another dab of that there. I'm sorry, this is probably going to end up being just a horrendously long video just because I'm planning everything out as I go, since I had no idea what I wanted to do. Right, now I'm going to do just one more dot of, actually no I'm not. Started to say I was going to put another dot of the Boysenberry there, but I think I'll go on and just do the Slate, which I haven't used in a while, so my lid's about stuck on. If you use one, if you get one out that you haven't used in a while, it's always a good idea just to wipe your top, because you get little dried up specks of ink in there, and then when you come over here, it'll get in your painting. Plus, it's not a bad idea to shake it up. Now, see, the Slate's it's a darker color. It's not super dark, but it's a darker color. So I didn't try to make it go from side to side right there, because I didn't want it to be completely blacked out. I just wanted it to be a gray. Hopefully a lighter gray. So you can see how much the Slate lightened up as I spread it out there. Now's going to come the really interesting part. I have no idea what this is going to end up looking like. Sorry, trying to get the lid back on that because I'm probably not going to add any more brass for the time being. Okay, let's see how I want to do this. I'm putting my ink, my alcohol on the outer edge of that ink so that I can then blow it in and out to get that soft edge without having a hard, definitive line out there. Sticking to me. Didn't hardly get enough alcohol on that one either. These smaller pieces of paper are a lot trickier to work with. It's just a little harder, and this is why, you know, a Lazy Susan would come in handy where I could sort of tape it down. Because it does get tricky to hold on to your paper sometimes, and I mean, I've stuck my fingers in the ink, and I have to worry about making fingerprints out of ink on there now. Get a little of it off. I can never figure out how I do what I do. I end up with smears of stuff all over me all the time. I'm just going to work my way around with that, you know, being real careful as I come in here that I get a decent looking blend. I don't know if you all can see it or not good, you know, where I don't have, you know, just a clear separation of color. I want it to kind of blend right in there. I was trying to think of some questions that I've been asked lately, and I'm really sorry to all of you who have been asking me questions that I just have not had time to keep up with it. I'm getting so many questions and comments between Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And with, you know, over 12,000 subscribers just on YouTube, which, wow, thank you all. I'm blown away by that. But it's getting harder and harder to keep up with answering the questions. And a lot of the questions that I'm getting are questions that are answered in the videos. So, but I know that a lot of time, you know, you all don't have time to go watch every one of my videos to be able to try and track down that one answer. So I do, you know, I want to answer all of your questions. And I guess I need to just do another frequently asked question video. Kind of cover some of the stuff that's coming up quite a bit. But my biggest advice is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Just like everything. This is trickier than it looks. People don't realize when they're starting out, you know, how much practice it's going to take to get the hang of it. So, you know, it really does take practice. I didn't sit down my first time and, you know, come up with anything that I even wanted to show my husband, to ask him his opinion. You know, nobody does. It's just like anything else. You know, you can't expect to. You know, you could think of it like playing the piano. You can't expect to go to one piano lesson and be able to sit down and play Mozart. You know, it's just not going to happen. And while I certainly don't compare my talents to Mozart, you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. You know, it does. It just takes practice. when you watch someone do it who already knows how to do it, it looks much easier. And one of the things that I've told people quite a bit, and I'll mention it again, is don't critique your own work. Find somebody who will be honest with you know, a family member, a friend, but don't critique your own work, because you're just going to make yourself feel bad. I do. Every painting I do, I see things that are wrong with it. Every single one. I see things that are wrong with it that you all would never see, because you don't have a clue what I see in my mind if I have something planned. And so it's the same way for you all. And don't compare your work to someone else's. That's a biggie. Because if you compare your work to mine, and I've been doing this for over a year, and you've been doing it for a week or a month, that's not, you know, you're just going to make yourself feel bad anyway, because I have a lot more practice. But also, you know, art is so subjective that you should never compare, or actually just period, you should never compare yourself to anyone else ever. You're you. And that's a good thing. Whatever it is, that's a good thing. And it's the same with your art. It's your art. And that's a good thing. It's your vision. So, you know, take what you learn from here and make it yours. And don't worry about if it looks like mine. Don't worry about if it looks like whoever else's videos you're watching that's been doing stuff forever too. You know, make it your own. This is one of those times I probably should at least put a piece of cardboard under this and taped it down, since I'm working at the edges. That would make it much easier and not keep my paper blowing up all the time. Whoa, too much alcohol. Let's see. See, I had to kind of just dry some of that, because with the amount of alcohol I had on there, I would have needed to wisp it way out through there, and I didn't want to do that. So I did get that hard line, but all I need to do is just go back in and put a little more alcohol and kind of get rid of that line, blow it back towards the edge where I wanted it to be. Still ended up with a little bit of one right there, but that's alright. I'm just gonna leave it, I think. It's not too bad. I really hope you all can see, because if I look up at my phone to see if I'm blocking everything with the dryer, I'll end up blowing stuff all over the place, most likely. I'm not sure if this is going to be one of my favorite ones, but it's going to be an interesting one anyway. there's something I don't know if y'all saw that or not. I'm going to turn the dryer off here in just a second and show you what I did there. I was not careful. I did not get that dry on that edge right there. And as I started blowing over here, you can see where it where it came out here. And I actually, because I was blowing over here and had the dryer up a little bit high, it actually blew a spot of it over to here. So now that's something I'm going to have to go back and fix, because that I can't stand. But be careful to make sure that you have everything dry that you don't want to move. That's something I don't know that I've ever really mentioned all that much, but that is really important to make sure if you don't want it to move again, that you have that area completely dry. Because if there's alcohol on it, it will move when you put your air source on it. Ugh. That's annoying me, because that one's so far back, it's kind of hard to fix. Giving it a little extra time there with the dryer. That has actually, it got a little thick right there. I think I must have had too much metallic on there. But let me show you what I mean when you get too much metallic. I don't know how well you all can see this, but it's, is it focusing on it? I can't even tell. But you see how dark it's gotten in here, and it's thick and bumpy. That's where I ended up having too much sort of pushed that direction. That was the problem there. Alright. So I had to flip that one over to heat for just a second to get that to dry in there a little bit. Which is another thing I like about the NARA paper. It does not warp super easily. Now, it will warp. So, you know, be careful of it if you're using something with heat. But it does not warp as easily as Yubo does. I don't know why, but it does not seem to warp quite as easily. But I will only use heat on any of these products that I use for just very short blasts, just to dry, you know, a very small area very quickly. Here, I'll show you what I use this for some. I've got these little spots right there where it wouldn't go over top of ink that was already dried there. And I'll use this just to kind of, you know, dab it or spread it, whatever I need to do to get it to move. I really should probably get some kind of Christmas one done, since it's coming up quickly here. See, there's another little spot. Just gonna kind of dab that over it. Sometimes it just wants to hang, especially on the metallic. And the metallic can kind of make this little dam So when your ink's going through, it hits that metallic and it just kind of spreads out and goes around it. You see I let my alcohol get out of control a little bit there, and it went too far that way. It happens, you know, when you guys are frustrated because you can't control your alcohol, just think of me. Because the same thing happens to me. It happens. Listen to my paper. Okay, I didn't want that. My paper was blowing away. I'm trying not to get my inky fingers in the middle of it too much. And I don't want to hold it over on the very edge where I need to. So it's making it a little tricky. Struggling here on that. I keep ending up with that edge I don't want. And blowing it too far back out, that's exactly why I keep ending up with that edge. Exactly. I have to redo that part a little bit. So you always, if you want this, you know, fade out, soft, wispy, really soft, wispy edge, you always want your alcohol to come out farther than your ink. I don't really know how to explain that well, but once the whole mess comes out onto dry paper, it's gonna start drying immediately there. So you want to keep alcohol on that outer part always. Don't let your ink get up on that part. Now see, I'll blow a little of it up into it and then blow it back before it gets all the way to the edge of the paper. And again. But that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you for wispy, if you want these soft wispy edges, is to make sure that you keep alcohol between where your ink stops at and where the paper, the dry paper, starts, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Not in a separate puddle, but all together. But you can see alcohol, ink. Okay, so I'm going to blow it back and a little bit out into the alcohol, but then I'm going to blow it right back again before it has a chance to start drying. Because I don't want it to dry out there, or I won't get the wispy edge. I'll get that hard defined edge on it. Alright, now see, why didn't y'all tell me I did that? I don't even know how I did it. I don't remember doing that. I'll have to go back and fix that little part now. Get this first though. And if you get too much ink out there, just put a little more alcohol at your outside edge. You see how it starts pushing your ink back. Feels good. I'm blowing at my face. I'm burning up. I really hate having to fix that right there, too. I don't want to mess up my blend with my slate color over there. You want to be careful not to over fix, because you'll ruin something that's perfectly good. If you keep on nitpicking over little bitty spots here and there, you'll end up ruining a painting that was actually good. And I know from personal experience that happens. See, I'm debating right now. That's the reason I mentioned it. Debating whether or not to pull this up a little bit more. But I'm right on my blend right there, and I don't want to completely destroy it. But I think I'm going to do this anyway and hope I don't mess up the whole thing. It's really hard to do the edges when you're working on something and trying to go around that edge. Or it is for me, anyway. Alright, let's see. I'm trying to decide whether to leave it. Yeah, I'm going to leave it. Because I think I've reached that point of, you know, I see some things that I would like to fix, but if I start messing around with it too much, then I'm going to really end up with a mess on my hands and get really frustrated. So, well, it's a little different. I kind of wish I had brought my colors in a little bit more. One way that I can mount this one, I don't have any handier, I'd show you what I'm talking about, but is on a wooden round. Here's one I have mounted. I'll show you. Lady, it's stuck. Sorry, I had putty underneath because I had resin to this one. But so you can see, it's just a wooden round. I get these from Amazon, and you can attach it to your painting with. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm having one of those days, y'all. I'm really sorry. Like acrylic gel medium. You can attach your painting to your wooden round like that. After you seal it, make sure you seal it. I get a lot of questions about this. I use the Kamar, K-A-M-A-R varnish by Krylon, the spray-on. First, because it will not reactivate your ink. Unless you just gob it on there. You know, you want to do a few light coats so that it doesn't get too thick and start causing your ink to spread. I use that, and then I use the UV Archival spray-on varnish, also by Krylon, to seal mine, to help protect these from fading in the sun, because they will. But if you want to, you know, you can mount it on something like this. You just, you know, gel medium your board and stick that down, you know, make sure you've got it everywhere completely flat, stack some books on top of it, leave it to dry for a couple of days, and then you can leave it like that if you want. Or you can pour resin. I resined this one, which is why you're getting so much reflection in the thing. But that's one way you can mount these, since it's kind of probably somewhere between difficult and impossible to find a round circle picture frame. It wouldn't be easy to find one, I'm sure. So there you go. Something a little bit different, just to give you a different way to test your skills out, give you something new to try. All right, well, I hope that everyone has a great day. Thank you again to all of you who continue to watch my channel. I really, really appreciate it, especially when I'm so sporadic right now with how often I'm posting, because it's just life. Everything's just crazy. But I will do my best. I'm not quitting, even if it happens to be a while that you don't see something new posted by me. I apologize, but I am definitely not quitting. I love doing this, and I will continue to do so. I love trying to make these videos and help all of you all to learn. So, all right, well, happy practicing, everyone, and I really hope that you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up and give me a comment to let me know. I do read all my comments, even if I don't get time to answer them. I do flip through and read all of them whenever I have a second. So, you know, leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, consider joining us here full time by subscribing, and that way you can be notified whenever I do post a new video. All right, well, all of you have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.